all of you for being here today. The first question that I wanted to ask, which is a general question to all of you, is how did each of you get into the space of mental health specifically? Because I saw from all of your impressive backgrounds that you all have come from a variety of backgrounds. How did all of you get into the space of mental health?
Thanks for having me. I faced mental health issue about 20 odd years back. Lately, when post-COVID, in my circle, I experienced a lot of people facing it, and thus also sort of hesitation. When possibly younger people may not be able to relate it, but for people like us, with 20 years or 25 years, our cure was one slap from the father. And so that discussion was there. Okay, we had today out of that particular scenario, I felt that there is still a miss and match of the demand against supply. And thereafter studies and then saw that okay, yes, and since I've been associated with technology, I said technology can enhance it. It can game change, a lot many things. So that's what got me to forming this company, TranquilMind.
Could you just hold on?
Sure. And this could bring this thought of TranquilMind with my co-founders, where we thought that how we can attempt this space of loneliness, stress through a companion app, and then fusioning it with AR/VR. So that got me into mental health. Thank you.
A very good afternoon to all of you, and thank you to Inspiron for having me on this panel. I've been living with and fighting OCD for 35 or 36 years now. Almost my entire college life was spent with severe OCD. I'm old enough to basically say there are not too many psychiatrists around when I was first diagnosed with OCD. But then, in college I was known as a happy-go-lucky guy. I always used to wear a smile. But within me there were storms that even today, when I think of it, it kind of gives me, I shudder. Right? So that's really why I'm in this space. So at Whitmer we want to build an R&D driven company. We want to solve the OCD problem.
Thank you so much.
So I went to medical school at a place called St. Thomas's Hospital Medical School in London. It doesn't exist anymore. I did my psychiatry at a place called Tooting Bec. It was the asylum with 800 people, and I hated it. It was a horrible, horrible, horrible experience. And then 15 years later, my late mother-in-law and my late brother-in-law, they took their own lives. My late mother-in-law, she jumped in front of a train. My late brother-in-law, he jumped off a building. And a combination of guilt, obligation, intellectual curiosity forced me to go back to a subject I didn't like. And so I decided to build a hospital in London. A stupid, stupid, stupid idea. 1 became 2, 2 became 4, 4 became 400. And then we created one of the largest behavioral health businesses in Europe. The journey went through a whole bunch of stuff, but to just keep it very simple, that's how I ended up in the space.
Thank you so much, sir. So coming back to the theme of our panel discussion today, the first question that I would like to ask all of you is from your own experiences in your line of work. How do you think technology can help in enhancing the entire mental health experience or the entire experience of treatment and working through mental health concerns?
We're all very polite.
Panel.
Yeah, no, very polite. So, if you don't mind, if I can just take a minute to set context. So my brain is 1.3 kilograms in weight. It's 80% water. It has 160 billion cells. 80 billion are something called a glial cell, and 80 billion are neurons. A neuron, as you all know, has a little round circle in the middle and has a series of arms around it, which we call dendrites. And the job of my brain is to learn, to think, to feel, to sense, and to act. And the way it does this is, as an example, when I learn a name, two arms connect. If I were to unravel all the wiring in my brain, it would come to 500,000 kilometers. And just to put this into context, the distance between the Earth to the Moon is 384,000 kilometers. So I have a massive jumble in here going on. When things don't go right, as clinicians, we try and find a safe space for this individual. And then we may or may not look at clinical needs. But ultimately, we have to figure out, and forgive my reductiveness, we have to figure out how we change the wiring or adapt it. Now, to date, we can't open up the brain and take out it's not like going into a circuit. So we have to use a human to work with another human. And we have to go through a whole series of therapeutic interventions. We're not very good at this. We're failing. There are 1 billion people in the world who have a behavioral health condition. There are 200 million in India, 77% of them are untreated. And we've just published a research paper to say that number is going to be 300 million by 2035. And yet, as a profession, we continue to do things that we think are appropriate. And we don't look in the mirror. On this side, we have a whole bunch of guys who say, hey, we can help you change the wiring. And we kind of think we know how to do it. I mean, they know a little bit, surely. And they come up with a whole bunch of stuff. Today, at the last count, there were over 5,500 digital applications in the market in the US for digital therapy. Currently, at this moment in time, there's 46 of them going through FDA approval. The sad thing is that this side of the table doesn't talk to this side of the table that much, and this side of the table actually thinks that this side of the table has failed so badly that they're really not interested. And this is currently where we are. So there is technology that you would not even imagine. I'm investing in robotics that creates empathetic engagement with the child to create neurodevelopmental milestones and so on. But this is the problem we have to fix. And I would suggest, if I can be so bold, that it's the job of institutions like yours to start putting that presence and that knowledge, and more importantly, that culture and that attitude into all the people that are here today. And I'm not going to embarrass you by asking how much of your curriculum is oriented towards technology, but I'm embarrassed by the group of clinicians that exist today, not just in India, but globally, who seem to basically feel that these are divides versus just being one discipline.
Absolutely, that's very true.
Let me second what Saleem said. The human brain, the human mind is monstrously complex. And if there's something that can help unravel the secrets of the human brain and the human mind, it is technology. But then I always viewed technology with some amount of trepidation. Technology, I mean, there are two sides to every coin. Technology, at least in the last 10, 15 years, is messed up with our minds, right? We all know what the smartphones have done to our core cognitive functions, attention, memory, etc. I'm extremely concerned about what AI will do, right? So we have AI that takes notes when we are in a Zoom call, for example. So that means I can, doom scroll on social media while the AI is taking notes. So what is AI going to do to our higher order cognitive function of thinking, planning, problem solving, decision making? I don't know. So yeah, but on the positive side of things, like I said, if there's something that can help unravel the secrets of the mind and probably come up with solutions to the humongous numbers that Saleem quoted in terms of 1 in 7 people, going through some mental disorder at some point in their lives, it is technology, right? That's what's going to kind of come up with solutions as well. And I think, let me use a mnemonic. Technology is going to help in 5 ways. So 5 A's, I call it the 5 A's, the alphabet A. starting with, technology is really going to help boost awareness, right? The previous panel, the esteemed speaker was talking about how awareness levels is still low. So I think a great way to dramatically boost awareness of mental health, mental wellness will happen through technology. So that's the first A. The second A is accessibility. So even if I'm aware that I have a mental health issue, do I have access to the right, forum, so to speak? It could be a therapist, it could be a psychiatrist, so to speak. The third A is affordability. I think technology is going to kind of, with democratization, technology is going to kind of drive costs down. The fourth A goes into the realm of medicine, accuracy of diagnosis. Today, there's a lot of misdiagnosis that happens in this space. There's so much of overlap between different mental health conditions. There are comorbidities that accompany illness X, for example. So technology is really going to kind of bridge that gap and take out misdiagnosis. And the last A is appropriateness of a treatment approach. Psychiatry and psychology to a large extent is still trial and error. So it might take anywhere between 6 months to 8 years to a couple of years to come up with an appropriate treatment method. Just so that you know, it took 8.5 years for my doctors to come up with the right medication for my OCD, right? Till then it was all trial and error. So coming up with an appropriate treatment and doing away with the trial and error approach that's prevalent today is how it will help. So 5 A's: awareness, accessibility, affordability, accuracy of a diagnosis, and appropriateness of treatment is where technology will come in.
Thank you so much, sir. That's very concisely.
So I will help you. So now think, there's a companion who is sitting with you on your phone, because that is the place you're all, who is just going to be listening to you when whatever you want to talk. In your own tone, pitch, mood, emotions, everything put together, no feedback. And there is added flavor which can now be added is a coach who will just give you a direction. Okay, being students possibly don't know what the role of a coach. Coach never gives you an answer. Coach gives you a direction or challenges your own belief or thoughts. So that is the place technology can help. And that is what everyone is trying to come across. The second place technology can help is to diagnose. So for example, we have heard about stress. Fortunately, we are human beings, stress is going to be with us always. Every person gets stressed in different situations. Now a psychiatrist or you all, when you get into profession, you cannot actually create an actual environment of that person feeling stressed. So somebody gets stressed out of talking loud in a crowd of 2 people, whereas somebody is getting stressed in a meeting of 10 people. Now this augmenting can be done through virtual reality. And then I can put you in that and understand what is your stress level. Now you can think of any exposure. So this is the place now it can come into diagnosis. Okay, this is the place where the person gets triggered. And then after take over the cure part. So this is where technology can help. And that is the place also we are trying to do is the fusion of AI and AR/VR.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir. Mr. Karthik, I want to understand from you, what are some of the things that should be kept in mind when we're looking at integrating or finding a balance between technology and mental health services, or, so to speak, the human touch that comes as a part of therapy?
I have a penchant for mnemonics, so let me use 5 C's to respond to your question. I think the first C in this case would be the client, right? So if there's one thing that I've learned in this whole space of mental health is, each individual is unique. This could be you could construe this as a cliched statement, but it is 100% true in mental health, right? If I walk in with symptoms of OCD and somebody else or a couple of others walk in, the diagnosis might well be OCD, but each individual is unique. The way you've got to approach coming up with let's say, a therapy protocol, if you will, right, should be different, right? You could end up with a similar protocol, but then the approach that you take should start off by saying this person is unique, right? So when it comes to use of technology, there are a couple of issues here. One, I would assume, would be the level of comfort that the client has with the use of technology, right? Then there should be an element of informed consent. So he or she should know what he or she is getting into, right, as part of the therapy protocol, as far as the use of technology goes, right? So that's the first point. See, each individual is unique, each client is unique. Look at the comfort levels and then look at it from a perspective of informed consent. Second would be the client psychologist interaction itself, right? I'm a firm believer that that is the chemistry, one more C, okay? The chemistry between the therapist and the client has a great role to play in the effectiveness of whatever it is that you are recommending or administering. The third is more of a data security and privacy issue related C, that is confidentiality, right? As therapists, it's very, very important that you ensure that you've taken all the necessary precautions, right? When it comes to protecting the identity and sensitive health records of your patients. Then you would have complementarity, right? Sometimes what happens with technology is there's a temptation to kind of see it as a panacea, right? Okay, so I have this wonderful app. It has zillions of whatever. So I'm just going to kind of prescribe it as a one-size-fits-all to my patients is a temptation. So I think that is something that we shouldn't be really, that's not something we should be doing. It should always work with the human angle, right? And last C is probably the communication angle, which again could take a backseat because it's called talk therapy for a reason, right? So sometimes what happens is when you have a tech interface between you and your patient, communication, especially the non-verbal communication, could take a backseat. So that's the fifth C that one should be wary about.
Thank you so much, sir. Your mnemonic technique is extremely effective in remembering everything that you're saying. Mr. Jayanth, I wanted to understand from you as a group of psychologists, as a group of students that we have here, what can they do to embrace the advancements in technology? And this I ask also from a slightly personal angle because I'm an extremely technologically challenged person myself. So what do you think, what is a way in which all of us as professionals or students can start embracing this side of technology into our mental health workspace?
Good question. So from the user side, okay, for example, if I take you or anyone, the only requirement to use this technology is that you should be comfortable to face a camera if required so. You should be able to communicate, or rather I will say you should be able to communicate in such a manner that the other person is able to understand you. Okay, so whatever language I'm not talking about over here. Rest, this technology is not going to do anything with you. It is going to work on its own. So for example, just put across a scenario that okay, if I'm a person who is a normal person, I should be considering preventive care for myself. So the technology will understand me. If a situation comes that okay, I need a counseling, then there's a report given to the counselor, okay, this is the reason we are saying this person requires counseling. So by virtue of which, the therapist will understand, okay, reading it, what is it? Whatever the therapist does now is going to be fed back. So it is going to be trying to create a 360-degree feedback of the user. So today, for example, in a normal healthcare, you are given a medicine, you religiously take it because you know that if I don't take it the 3 days course or 5 days course or X course, it will hamper me. But in counseling, it is not going to be a course sort of a scenario. No medicine is given to you. Possibly, it's not level to the psychiatrist will give you a medicine. It is just you're supposed to sleep for 8 hours. You doing it or not doing it is totally up to you. So here technology is playing and keeping a track, are you doing it or not doing it? And then when you go for the next round, again gives a report, okay, this is what the person has done. So you are not going to get familiar. Technology will take care. Technology now becomes an augmenter or a supporter to you to amplify your work. That's the way.
Thank you so much, sir. That was really, really helpful. Mr. Sari, I want to understand from you, there is still a segment of therapists or even students and professionals who may not see the value of adding technology into the therapeutic space. What would you advise them, or what would you suggest would be a good way to start up, or why do you think that would be beneficial for them?
It's time to wake up and smell the coffee. Let me answer the question in a slightly different way. So, when I was a caveman, I died at 2 inflection points in my life. One when I was 19, because I died at the scratch. There was no antibiotic. And the second point at which I died was 32, because a dinosaur sat on me. Dinosaur didn't eat me because he was vegetarian, he sat on me. And in order to protect me in this environment, divinity gave me a brain which gave me 2 key resources. One was anxiety and the other one was paranoia. Paranoia was really important because everywhere I went I had to make sure I didn't get scratched. And anxiety was super important because I navigated to a point where every noise I heard was clearly not going to be a pizza delivery guy, it's a dinosaur. If you fast forward today to 2024, we've opened the Pandora's box. It seemed to take those defense mechanisms and have put me in a very different place. And at a very high level, if I was to give a soundbite, I am now building anxiety versus actually building resilience. Now, the very technology that has created some of this, I am looking at to say, help me fix this. And clearly, it's a dilemma. And it goes back to the way that maybe psychology was taught when I was much younger, in that my job there was to make sure that my patients had joy and purpose. These are not words we use very often these days because we have great difficulty in understanding their meaning. But simply put, joy is when there's a smile on your face, and purpose is when someone leaves you with a smile on their face. If you then break that down as to how you achieve that through self-awareness, self-esteem. You achieve that through belief, you achieve that through resilience, and most importantly, you achieve that through the ability of creating human connections. So the goal of technology is to take you from the place you may be to the place where you navigate using technology to start building human relationships. And that's kind of where we need to get to. Technology is moving at a very incredible pace, and it doesn't have any of the answers. The human is moving at a much slower pace and thinks they have all the answers. Somewhere between the two, you're going to end up in the right place.
Thank you for that, sir. Mr. Karthik, I want to understand from you a little bit about the ethics and integrity. You knew I would ask you that, so as a psychologist, it's absolutely my responsibility. How do ethics and integrity and those kind of aspects play into this? Only purely from the perspective that we are at the end of the day working with people, even with the space of technology and all this.
I don't have 3 C's or 4 A's or whatever. This is going to be a more straightforward answer. I take a slightly, a divergent view of this. I think the first aspect of ethics and integrity in this space is an onus that's on us. When I say us, I'm talking about the psychologists, the psychiatrists, and everybody else in the space of mental health. So it starts with competency. I think again the previous panelist, in the previous panel we talked about people putting in the effort for self-development. Similarly, I think the onus is on us as therapists or psychologists to stay abreast of the developments in technology, right? The pros and cons of using technology in a specific case, right? The way in which a therapist is able to, first of all, advise and then guide his or her patient all of this fall under the realm of competency. So I think all of us as psychologists or therapists, if we want to stay true to the field, and as Saleem said, right, wake up and smell the coffee.
30% of your time trying to understand the current and future technological innovations in your space, then I would suggest that you're not doing yourself justice. I don't believe the machine will ever totally replace the human, but it will replace some of the things the human does today. As an example, one of the most laborious acts of life is parenthood. And the reason it's laborious is because for you to build neurodevelopmental milestones and the right pathways, you have to sing the wheels go on the bus a zillion times to your kid. You will get bored after number 4. So we now create robotics to try and take away some of those tasks. It doesn't mean that it's replaced the parent. And using, again, a very silly example just to prove a point, but it's augmented the parent. So somewhere, as you try and map your futures and your careers, in the same way that you wish to figure out where you wish to work and what you wish to do, I would suggest that you spend some time figuring out how you wish to work. And if you are not being augmented by something, then I would suggest you just keep looking.
I think to add to this, today, if anyone wants to get into this particular field of technology, so then think about the creative side of technology. Coding, testing, forget it. What is your field? Thinking. Okay? It's human touch. So look at that ethics part, the creative side of the technology. That can always, complement it.
Absolutely. That's a great advice for all of the youngsters here who would be interested in getting into that side.
Since this is the final question, I can't resist throwing in 3 more C's, which I would use I would say advice to, just a message that I want to pass on to any budding psychologist who's also interested in technology. I think the first C you should cultivate is curiosity, right? Keep your textbooks aside. I know, ma'am, you would probably hold me by the ear for this advice, but keep your textbooks aside and do some reading about what's happening in the world of technology as it pertains to this field space of psychology and mental health, right? So develop that curiosity and keep absorbing all the information that you can get in this space if that's something that you're interested in. With curiosity comes commitment. Saleem again mentioned that technology is evolving at a rapid pace. So you've got to be committed, right? So it's not a question of just reading a couple of articles or a couple of books. You've got to stay in touch, and that requires commitment, right? Whether you are 23, just starting off your practice, or you're 60, thinking of hanging up your boots, you've got to keep yourself up to date with whatever is happening. And last but not the least is collaboration. Even as students, reach out to companies, and today there are so many companies doing some fantastic work in this space, using technology, right? Collaborate with them, reach out to them, go and intern, spend 2 months with the company there, right? Work with the engineers who are building these products, right? Get to learn from them. Throw your suggestions into the ring, see how they react, so on and so forth. So if you have these 3 C's, navigating the technology landscape and becoming a therapist who really uses therapy in whatever you choose to do in the future should be the 4th, a cakewalk.
Thank you so much, sir. Can you please have a round of applause for all the panelists? We now open up to any questions from the audience. I would request anyone who has a question to please just quickly form a line and we'll pass the mic to you.
My question was regarding the use of AI chatbot. So it was with the development of OpenAI and language learning models, it was quickly the idea came into being, and they're already existing, and there's all these systems that use them. For example, Inspiron has a video site where you can talk to someone online. Now there are websites like Talkspace where you can talk to someone and simultaneously also use an AI chatbot, or some services that are only AI chatbot, and some that are completely free. So my question was regarding the integration of AI and chatbots. There's been discussions of in the beginning in terms of helping with diagnosis and at the end in preventing remission of the disorder, but not in treatment. But what are your thoughts on how this will develop and whether it should be and how it should be regulated in the first place?
So if I understand your question, you're asking the question around should chatbot be legalized? Or
No, it's already in use.
Ah.
Question of whether it should be legalized or not is we're past it. The question is, what are your thoughts on how it will develop and what are the potential legal issues? Because
legal issue, that's what I'm trying to say. What is the meaning by legal issues?
Because, for example, say something happens in terms of the treatment or later there's an
okay.
issue with the client.
Okay. So first thing, there are two types of chatbots. Okay, so one is a prompt-based chatbot, which is, you will see in majority, 90% is prompt-based. So when I say prompt-based, it will, you may ask a question and it will answer you in multiple points for you to pick it up. So it can give you A, B, C, D, pick up all the 10 points. Okay. So that is a framed bot. So if you ask them something out of that particular, if you interact with that particular bot for 5 minutes, you will understand what it will answer, what it will not answer. So if something's out, it will not answer. What is the transformation happening is a conversational AI. So you talk like I and you are talking, it will talk like you. Okay, so there is no diagnosis happening over there. There is no therapy happening over there. It is just a communication. And in this communication, it would be diagnosed how person is fit. So there is no measurement that, okay, X I will call it fit, X I will not call it fit. But based on conversations, we can go to that level that we can say that whether the person is mentally fit, person is not mentally fit, needs intervention. But the chatbot, it is very easy for me to understand what you want. I will give you, are you feeling good? And then I will give you, no, I'm not feeling good, I'm bad, I'm sick, I'm bad, blah, 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 okay? All negative I can put to you and you can pick up from that. But in a conversation, you may not say that, I'm okay, you know? But I would be good if I get a cup of coffee. So that is another way of expressing what you are, your mental frame is. So that is the way it is working to work, that is the way the direction is going. Does it answer your question?
Yes, thank you. So I have one more question, is that okay?
I think you should come back after that. Let first.
Thank you for that interview. It was a great session. I am Nikhil Sharif from CMR University. I am studying content psychology. I love technology, but when you shared about active listening, in active listening, we as counselors are taught about body postures, verbal, non-verbal communications, and body language. So how could we, as a user, perceive such active listening from an AI?
That is what is called conversational empathetic AI. Okay, so which is not going to give you any feedback. See, normal communication, when you look at it, you know, the question which I asked, okay, when you are very high spirited, let's take, angry. If you're talking to me as a friend, you're whoever, you name it, whatever relationship, okay, I will give you a feedback to you. But probably you don't want that feedback that moment because I don't know what is the reason you are angry. It could be you, it could be somebody else, it is out of your control.
But I would like to know how the AI is perceiving my conversation.
So once you start conversing, so that's the way the AI can act as a coach. So if you're happy, why are you happy? I'm happy because I saw flowers. Which color flowers? So are you attracted to red? So I'm digressing to understand you. So that's the way I'm trying to understand. I'm not giving you why you should be happy or you should not be. Is it mistake or is it right? So that is what I meant by active listening, is that you just listen. And then you are talking to as a coach.
How would it be different as a human and an AI?
That is not going to be. That is the place you're going to feel that it is going to be you're talking to somebody human who is a coach. Have you seen fake videos nowadays? Fake AI videos?
Yes.
Okay? So the face gets changed. Voice is same. Okay, now here it is you're going to be talking to somebody who's talking your language. So that becomes your companion, your trusted companion.
Hopefully it works.
Good afternoon, one and all present here. Sir, as you said, you have OCD. So have people always understood your behavior, and if not, how you have dealt with it? Sir, as you said, you have OCD.
Okay. The unfortunate thing of having and living with OCD is that it's at least in my corporate life, I've faced this probably hundreds of times.
People who will reciprocate that. But I feel like if it was completely shifted to an AI or a chatbot where I can use my phone or my laptop and discuss with them and they would coach me through how to get over this depression, it would very much lead to more social isolation for that person because they would be overly reliant on this one system that's supporting their thought process, but no humans in their real life that's helping them with that issue. I just wanted to know all your opinions on this subject.
So, as I mentioned somewhere in one of my answers, the whole purpose of what I believe technology should do is to try and navigate you to a place where you will have to rebuild human connectivity, because that is what gives us joy and purpose. Some technology will be good at it, some technology will be bad at it. You're just going to have to pick the right one.
Hello everyone, I'm Kavya. I'm a bachelor student in computer science and psychology. So we know how complex our brain is, like you said, sir, and we also know how AI is evolving and robotics is evolving. When we see the negative aspect of it, people say that AI takes over. AI cannot replicate, but then it's taking over many aspects. So I just wanted to know your take on how AI can it replicate emotions, or to what extent can AI go when it comes to differentiating between humans and AI or robot?
My mom came here to India from England 4 weeks ago, and we wanted to watch a movie. It's a fascinating movie. It's a movie about, I can't remember its name. It's a movie about a lady who was a robot. And I don't know if any of you have seen it, right? That's just the beginning of where this world is going to go. So that's the direction of travel. Is it going to replace the human? No. Is it going to come close? Pretty close. And it's going to be possible. It'll take a little bit of time. But when I was young, there was a movie called Back to the Future. It doesn't seem like Back to the Future anymore. So I think it's just a message or a signal where our world is going to get to.
I just hope it's for the positive and doesn't influence us.
I mean, look, everything comes with a health warning, right? You guys are much smarter than anyone on this thing because you're very much younger. But everything comes with a health warning.
Thank you.
I want to know all of the leaders' thought on Elon Musk's Neuralink. What do you think of that?
Mind blowing.
Let's face the fact, it is the future. Okay? If you want to run away from it, it is up to you. But at the end of the day, maybe 3 generations down the line, children could be having a chip.
So before Elon Musk took his chip out, there was another chip that we put into the brain. And it enabled you to move your leg if you couldn't move your leg. It was a little slow by 200 milliseconds, but for the person who couldn't move his leg, it was okay. The brain is just yet another organ. You're not going to see it in my lifetime, but you're going to see lots and lots of innovation.
Thank you so much for all the questions, and thank you so much to all of you. Can we have a big round of applause? I would now request Mr. D.P. Satish, the editor at CNN News 18, and Dr. Jagdish to please join me in giving a small token of appreciation to all of our panelists. Round of applause, please.